It's close enough to 7 o'clock. We're called to order. By way of introduction, my name is John N7NWL, and I am the CADXA president. And just for everybody's information, presuming you don't vote me out of office this year, I plan on staying in this position next year because I think we need some consistency and some carryover. So it's official, unless you want to replace me. Introductions, here we go. This is going to be Gary starting this time.
Gary, KC7CS, Scottsdale.
Tom, NQ7R.
Ingrid, W7ISG.
Ron W0KDS. Ned AO7A.
Greg, KG7AZ.
Mike, N7MW.
Lee KY7M.
Jim, KC1BB. Bob, K7 Jim.
And Brian W7GET.
Steve, K7SP.
And JHE. Norm N9AV. K7VZ.
And back to me. On the next slide, when Virgil brings it up, I want to go over the meeting agenda for tonight. See, that's why Virgil keeps me out of trouble sometimes. Could we do introductions on the Zoom, folks? Thank you.
Richard, N7NT.
Mike, K7ING.
Okay, we got
KD9OLN.
This is Bob, NA7RH. Oh, there we go. You might say,
7RD, overmodulated by KF70.
yeah, Mike, KC7V, your mic's off. This
Hey, we've got everybody introduced. I want to thank everybody for showing up in person. We've got 16 folks here, 17 when counting Bill. Would you like to introduce yourself, or shall I just say you're Bill A4Q? No.
Howdy, I'm Bill Alpha. I'm Bill Alpha 4 Quebec.
And we've got 6 folks in on Zoom, so that's a really good attendance, and I do appreciate that. I wanted to let you know that. If we go to the next slide, I want to go over the meeting agenda. There we go. We start about 6:30 or so tonight with a meet and greet, rag chew time, socializing, etc. Started the meeting at 7. We've got one visitor, Carlos, KD9OLN, who is actually our presenter tonight. And we're going to have the program after that. Then the break, we're going to have cookies and beverages and more socializing. Business meeting, we're going to go over some old business stuff that the board has accomplished during the month of January. New business is going to predominantly concentrate on the 501c7 IRS compliance thing. Lee's going to do a presentation on that, K7M. We're going to go over some of the details with that. There's going to be a motion, hopefully put forth by a member, to authorize the board to go forward with that process and to authorize us to expend up to not more than $700 for that. We'll get into the details of that cost in a minute. Anything else from the floor? There's an ARRL Year of the Volunteers program that's going on now. Brian W7JET is going to present that. And the ever popular, if anybody wants to volunteer to be a secretary, we can do that. The Constitution says that in the absence of an officer, the board can elect somebody and basically tell them they got elected. I'm not really too eager to go down that road because I don't think it'll work real well. So that's kind of what we're going to do. without further ado, if we go to the next slide, which is Carlos's. Carlos KD9OLN has apparently been jumping out of perfectly good airplanes and operating HF radios, VHF stuff for some period of time. And he's going to get into that. But I kind of stole the title from the image on his QRZ page and called this Life at Terminal Velocity. So,
Yes, sir.
so however we make that happen so we can see and hear you, Virgil, if you would make that happen, I would appreciate it.
Let's see, where is my presentation? There we go.
Okay, yeah, we
Let me
see
know
your,
when,
we see your introduction screen.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, good evening, everybody. Thanks for the invite. I appreciate it. Virgil reached out to me a couple months ago saying, "Hey, would you?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem." I'm all about getting more QSOs, and this helps, right? My name is Carlos. I'm KD9OLN. In the skydiving world, instead of saying KD9OLN, I would say I'm D36519. That's my license in skydiving. Issued by the United States Parachute Association, recognized worldwide. With my credentials, I can skydive anywhere in the world that I want to, presuming there's a skydiving operation there. Right? I want to talk to you about HF, playing HF and a little bit of VHF, parachute mobile. And yes, I jump out of perfectly good airplanes and play radio. Typically somewhere between 10 and 40 meters. Every once in a while, I'll throw VHF in there because you got to spice things up, right? This is my agenda. Okay. By the way, I'm going to have a few pictures in here and I'll describe the pictures. And if you have questions or if anyone in the room has questions, pipe up and, I can't see the room. So just have someone say, "Hey, there's a question in here," and I'll gladly answer it. So here's my agenda, the plan. This is what we're talking about today. My parachute system, my radio system, safety. You may notice that safety's third there. QSOs, QSL cards, and my videos. And just for grins, that's a sunset landing at my home drop zone. As you can see, it's gorgeous. And you land on your feet. It's nice and gentle. Everybody's afraid of skydiving because of the landing. You don't have to worry about that unless you don't have a parachute. In which case, it's over anyways. To that end, you don't need a parachute to skydive. You only needed to do it, skydive more than once, okay? Wow, tough room. No, not a single laugh out of that? Ouch. All right. My parachute system, the thing that I use to save my life each and every one of my jumps, it's called the container. The container has a few parts to it, okay? It has a main parachute. It has a reserve parachute. So I have 2 parachutes in my container. And it has a little computer inside that we call an AAD. AAD is an automatic activation device. Basically what that thing does is, it keeps track of my fall rate. And if I'm still going at free fall speeds at 1,000 foot or below, it will automatically deploy my reserve for me. It's the cheapest life insurance policy you can get in skydiving. And if you ever know a skydiver that doesn't have one, whack them upside the head and tell them go get an AAD because it's cheap. Literally cheapest life insurance policy you can buy. An AAD is not going to guarantee that you're going to land safely. It just means that instead of being in the morgue, you're going to be in the hospital more than likely. Okay. I also have to wear altimeters so that I know how high off the ground I am. I also wear a helmet. And of course, if I'm doing this, we're showing videos to people. I got to have a GoPro with me. So I carry 2 GoPros. Let me talk about the parachute system itself. So want to get my inner Vanna white going. I don't know how well you can see me and the slide at the same time. Can you see both of those?
Yeah, I can adjust it as you go.
Okay. So this is my parachute system. Okay, I wear this on my back, not on my front. The reserve is up here. The main is down here. And that entire system, the main is activated on a small parachute on the bottom. It's called a pilot chute. And you pull this out and throw it into the air. And it has a bridle that extends and then that is connected to the pin. Everybody thinks there's a ripcord. There's no ripcord. It's just a bridle. It's a pilot chute, a bridle, and a pin. And then the pin is pulled by the pilot chute's extension into the wind. Okay. Once that pin is pulled, this container opens. There's 4 flaps. I'm not going to undo it because I don't have the time to pack it tonight. But there's 4 flaps that open up and expose the bag that carries the parachute, and then the parachute deploys and opens. The reserve has its own pilot chute and it's spring loaded and it flies away. So if I ever need to use my reserve, chances are that I'm going to lose that pilot chute. I'm going to have to go buy one. Sometimes you find them, sometimes you don't. And then the AAD is under this flap. I don't know how well it's going to show, but there's a little computer screen there. And basically the AAD is just an altimeter, a computer that's an altimeter, and it keeps track of my speed and free fall. Like I said, I'm still in free fall speeds at 1,000 feet or below. It deploys my reserve for me and hopefully puts me in a hospital instead of in the morgue. In skydiving, everything has a backup. Okay, so I have 2 parachutes. I also have 2 ways of deploying my reserve. I have my AAD. You don't have to have two altimeters on you, but I carry 3. So overall, skydiving is actually really safe. If you get nothing out of this presentation, I want you to understand that is it. Skydiving is actually really, really safe. It's a super dangerous sport that we make safe by the actions we take prior to getting into the airplane. Okay. I wear wrist-mounted altimeters. Okay, this is a digital one. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that on the screen, but it has 0 on it because I'm on the ground. This gets calibrated by itself when I turn it on. When I turn it on, it assumes that wherever I'm at is the 0 reference for ground. And as we go up in altitude, the barometric pressure drops. And barometric pressure is actually very, very constant. The change in pressure is very constant. So you can calculate what 100 feet is just based on the difference on barometric pressure from ground to 100 feet above. Similarly, this is another one I wear. And you might notice that this one has batteries and is electronic, and this one is mechanical and it's analog. Old school, doesn't fail very often, right? This is nice because it logs the information about my jump. This is nice because I don't have to worry about batteries, right? And it works exactly the same way. It's basically a barometer with a needle, and as the pressure changes, this needle climbs, and it winds all the way around to 12. So I'm going to go with the youngest person in the room might not know what an analog watch looks like, but the rest of you know what an analog watch looks like. Okay, and it's exactly the same setup. The 11 is at the 11 point, the 9 is at the 9, so that for those of us that know how to use an analog watch, it makes it really, really easy to go at a snap, at a glance, go, oh, I'm at 11,000 feet. I'm at 6,000 feet, and so on. You don't even have to read the numbers. You just reference it but where the needle is at. But this thing is my backup altimeter, right? And then I also have, I don't have it in here, of course I don't. I also have another altimeter that I wear inside of my helmet that emits an audible tone at certain altitudes. So I have a reference to ground at all times. And that way, if I'm still in free fall at any point in time and I shouldn't be, I have a reference where I can go, oh, it's time to put a parachute over my head. I didn't grab my helmet out of my back, out of my container, but just think about a skateboard helmet. That's what I wear for my parachute mobile jumps. It makes it really easy to put on an earbud or a headphone so that I can hear the QSOs. And the GoPros are very ubiquitous, right? We are in 2023 and these things are everywhere. In skydiving, they're basically don't skydive with that one. How are you going to tell your friends that you're a skydiver if you don't have a video of it, right? I use these for my skydiving regular jumps, and I use these for my parachute mobile jumps so that I can show people what one of my jumps looks like, what my activations looks like. So in this slide, this is just me just leaving the airplane on a parachute mobile jump. And you see this, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but right over the top of my black backpack, there's a piece of white with a piece of orange on it. That's the pilot chute that's on the bottom of the container. And I've just thrown it. And you see that it's still a little bit folded. It's already unfolded some, and it's about to catch air. And that line that you see attached to it is called a bridle, and that's what's actually going to pull the pin for me. And you see the helmet that I wear. The camera is on my hand. I wear one of my GoPros as a glove. So this goes on my hand, secures around my wrist, and I'm able to capture my point of from the camera, from my hand to me. Normally, when we do tandem skydiving, this is what I used to film my tandem student, so that they can have pictures and video for their family, right? All right, my radio system. By the way, that picture, before I get into my radio system, that picture right there is my niece on her first skydive, and I think she's having a good time. See her smiling. I mean, you see her face just beaming ear to ear. My parachute mobile radio system fits inside of this bag. Okay. In this bag, I normally carry an IC706 Mark II-G or HF. And I say normally because at the local Hamfest in November, I picked up a Yaesu 857, which I'm going to use this year. So 706 is going to still be in play, maybe, if I don't sell it. The 857 is going to be in play. I'm also considering buying a KX3. I'm also considering buying a 705, trying to decide. When I do 2 meters, I typically use my FTM 300D for VHF. And I also carry my Yaesu FTM 3D for VHF APRS. Okay. Most of the time, the sole job of this thing is to beacon APRS, so that if you're tracking me, you have an idea of where I am in the sky. If you can't see my beacon, it means I haven't jumped yet. Or if you see my beacon, you know that I'm trying to work to get either starting to work or working, depending on the altitude. Let's see. On the side over here, so radio goes in the main compartment. On the side, I have a BioN 12 amp hour battery. This battery is for the 706 Mark II-G is necessary. I can do with less battery on this 857, but the Mark II-G draws so much power and receive only that the surge needs to be handled by a 12 amp hour battery. And I have a variety of antennas that I carry with me, depending on the jump. This is a KM4 ACK and fed halfway for 40. I use this when I'm doing 40. Most of the time I'm doing 20 or less. And it's because streaming this much wire behind me takes time to unwind, okay? My Pactena and fed half wave, similar setup, it's just an unfed half wave. This one's cut for 20. So I use it for 20 and 10. It works really well on 10. And if I want to do 15, I'll fly this one. And the KM4, the K6 ARK that I was talking about in the pre-meeting is this little puppy, which I lost the actual antenna wire to, which I need to build a new antenna wire for it. But this is the most compact antenna I have. I mean, it's a toroid wound and with an SO 239 on it. It is like the most ridiculously small infed half wave ever. He actually makes the one that's smaller if you want to build it. I also carry a sound recorder so that I can record the sound of the radio, so that it's easy. Yeah, it's the only way I can log. And headphones, because it makes it easier for me to hear over the wind noise from the parachute. More pictures. Same niece on the left-hand side there. You can tell she's having a good time. She's grabbing the feet of the videographer, and he's taking us for a spin. Over here on the right, I have my other niece, her sister, on a sunset jump. She was very scared to begin with, and as soon as we got out the door, she fell in love with skydiving. She wants to get her license. And then right below it, you see my parachute opening. This is me with my parachute, and you see how it's slowly opening and developing into a workable parachute, and you see the plane flying away. Safety third. I was talking earlier, saying if you haven't seen Mike Rose talk about safety third, you need to. It's a very interesting talk, and it helps me. I approach my safety the same way he talks about his safety when he was doing the job of being the narrator and the host for the deep sea fishing show that they used to have on Discovery or History or whatever the channel was. In any case, because of safety, we have to worry about exit order. When do I get out in relation to the other people? Most of the time it's going to be last, absolute last, because I'm going to be the person with a parachute with open first. Sometimes it's going to be first, depending on winds. But most of the time I'm going to be the last person out. Exit separation. We have to wait a certain number of seconds between people leaving, depending on ground speed, in order to have separation between groups. It allows for safe deployment for those groups that are going, okay? So we take that into consideration with every jump. Once I'm out of the airplane, my first concern is, do I have a good parachute over my head? I haven't had to use my reserve yet, knock on wood, right? But understand that if I tell you that I'm going to make a jump in an hour, and in an hour you're going, where is he? I'm not hearing him calling him. I'm not hearing him calling CQ, and nobody's hearing him calling CQ. It could be that I'm not ready to call CQ yet, and it could be that I don't have a good parachute over my head, and I need to deal with that first. And if I need to pull my reserve out, guess what? I'm not playing radio. This is over. We'll do that some other time, but my job is to get safely to the ground, walking away from a landing. Okay. And lastly, let's assume that I have a good parachute over my head because I've had one so far so good every time. Cutoff altitude. I don't care. I honestly don't care who is calling me at 3,000 feet. It could be the most important person on this planet. And at 3,000 feet, I am done playing radio, calling QRT. And you can keep calling if you want. I'm not calling you back. At 3,000 feet, my job becomes navigate, get back to the drop zone, and land safely, okay? So if you hear me calling QRT, I'm not trying to be rude. I am trying to save my butt. My life is far more important to me than playing radio. So just please understand, I've had a couple of people send me messages, hey man, I was calling you. And I'm like, yeah, I heard you, but I wasn't not picking up the mic. Sorry, not happening. Okay. Another picture. Let's see, did I get another picture there? This is another picture. This is one of my students. I was teaching her how to be a coach, and she was telling me to pull my parachute. So, despite what the movies tell you, you cannot hear anyone in free fall. All you can do is use hand signals, because that's all you're going to get. Yelling doesn't mean anything. You can yell your lungs out. I'm not going to hear you. Here's another picture. This is actually the K6ARK being wound on its first and only deployment. Unwound on its first and only deployment. I lost that wire and I didn't even know it. And I was making QSOs with a stub. I was making QSOs with that much antenna. And if you look closely, my wrist altimeter says that I'm at 12,000 feet. Talking about QSOs, one of the way that picture is people leaving the airplane right before me. You see that they're wearing a suit that makes them look like a squirrel. People call them squirrel suits. They're actually called wingsuits. And they're a lot of fun to fly. Okay, getting ready for the QSO, getting ready for the jump. This is what actually eats up the bulk of the time. I have to find a frequency and a band and a frequency that work. Okay, I use the MUF map and the maximum usable frequency forecast to determine what band I'm going to operate on. And then I have to find an open frequency. Just because I have an open frequency on the ground does not mean I'm going to have the same frequency open in the air. You'd be surprised at how well signal travels at 14,000 feet. Okay, so I have to use many web SDRs, and often I use that, and I get on a Discord and ping a bunch of people, hit up a lot of people. Hey, I'm looking at this frequency. Is it open? Is it open? Is it open? And if we can find a frequency that's open, then the jump is on, and that's the frequency we picked. And guess what? The same people on the Discord are awesome. They get on that frequency and they start holding a net, an impromptu net, so they can hold the frequency for me. Amazing. I've never asked them to do it, and they always do it. It's amazing, and I thank them every time. Then I announce the jump. You know, jump gets announced on Discord for Toad's Discord, on K5YVY Discord, on Ham Radio Crash Course Discord, occasionally on Ham Radio Crash Course on Facebook, and that's about it. Okay, there's a lot of logistics that go into getting this jump done. If it gets propagated out some other way, I don't know about it, but those are the ones that I focus on. Well, that and my patrons. I have a Patreon page, and that's the first posting I make. I also post about aircraft tracking on that. If you're familiar with ADSB is a broadcast that comes, it's a beacon that comes out of every commercial aircraft in the US and most of the world. And I'll give you an ADSB link for ADSB exchange for you to follow the airplane that I'm jumping out of. And the idea is, hey, you track that airplane, and when you see that airplane on descent, after I took off, within a minute or two, I'm going to be calling CQ with any luck. The frequency holding, like I said, happens by the Discord people. They're amazing. They hold that frequency for me, and as soon as I get out and I call CQ, they get off it and let me have it so that I can make contact with people that I haven't talked to yet. The jump happens. I deploy my main. Once I have a good parachute over my head, I deploy again. The second deployment is my antenna, right? I need to wind that antenna out to get it out and flying. Speaking of which, I can't just simply stream an antenna. Most of the time what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a bit of ribbon attached to the end of the antenna, okay? And this, believe it or not, is all the Dragon needs for that antenna to fly almost perfectly horizontal behind me. So most of the time I'm going to be flying with a horizontal polarization. Sometimes I will fly with a vertical polarization by putting weights on this. The catch is that if I put weights on it, I cannot land with the wire extended. I have to retrieve the wire, which means I have to quit playing radio earlier. Okay, so if I'm doing a vertical jump for some reason, a vertical polarization on the jump, I'll call QRT at 4,500 feet because I need to wind that antenna wire back up. If I don't do that, this wire will snap on landing. And I'm not into repairing my antenna every time I jump. Okay. And as soon as I have a good antenna behind me and I verify that I have that antenna, I'll key up just to make sure that my SWR is not crazy. I start calling CQ. So far for the year of 2022, and that's as far as it's going to get because we're in 23. These are all the QSOs that I've made. 141 QSOs over 15 radio jumps. There is one jump that I have not mapped on here, which happened in November, and it was like 3 QSOs, and they were all somewhat close to me. So I didn't update the slide today. As you can see, I am very much missing Arizona. So the challenge for you is that I want to get Arizona from the sky. So pay attention to when I make announcements, and please try to work me. I want to do the work all states from a parachute, okay? So work all states from a parachute. I need your help. You're in Arizona. Help me out.
That's a special endorsement.
Yes. I should send it to the ARRL and go, hey guys, how about a special endorsement for me? So this is a bar graph, QSOs by band. You will notice that the 2-meter QSOs are far and away the heaviest for last year. And that had to do with the fact that I jumped at the Huntsville Ham Fest. and there was a conga line of people waiting to make a contact with me. So that stole the prize. Otherwise, it would be 20 meters. Shortly followed by 10. On my 10-meter jumps, my objective primarily is to get techs on the air. Okay, so if you see me doing a 10-meter jump and you know a tech, get them to your shack. Please get them to your shack. Let's get the bug of HF into these folks so they get their upgrade to extra later on, okay? And you see there, I have 40 meters, and there ain't much in 40 meters because I've only done a couple of jumps on 40 meters. It is based on band conditions. Basically, if like I said, streaming that much wire behind me just takes time. If it takes me an extra minute, that's one less QSO I can make. QSL cards. Old school United States Postal Service. Yes, I mailed them. This is what my QSL card looks like. I only send this card when we make a contact parachute mobile. So if we make a contact some other way, guess what? You're not getting this card. I don't even have a non-parachute mobile card. So to get this card, gotta get me parachute mobile. Okay. I think it's a neat card. It's got a picture that I took from I think I was about 4,000 feet at this altitude on a sunset jump. You can see the lines from my parachute are there. And then this one is one of my early VHF jumps. And you can see my Yaesu in my hand. And the antenna is the super elastic signal stick, and nitronol, or however you say that, doesn't behave well in the cold, and it was drooping. Okay.
Can you show the
If we
front
make a
again?
contact, say again.
Can you show the front again?
Sure. This side of the,
Other side.
okay.
I had to make
So
I had to make your video bigger while you were showing it.
Okay. So this was taken with my professional camera. I'm also a photographer, videographer for skydiving. So I took this one with my professional camera. This is from a digital SLR. You know, it produces some beautiful, beautiful shots. Not that the GoPro doesn't do a decent job, but there's a world of difference between this and a GoPro.
We have a question from the room.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, can Jim, do you mail those cards in email?
That broke up. Can someone repeat that?
The cards via email?
Still breaking up. Try holding the mic a little bit further away. I don't know.
Do you mail them via airmail?
You know, I just use the United States Postal Service. However they get it to you, whether it's grounded or I don't know.
They're drop shipments.
They do take me a while. I literally just finished filling out QSL cards for the jumps of the second half of last year. I hate paperwork, and I know people covet this, so that's why I send it out. Most of the time, I'm going to send it out in an envelope with a sticker or two. Okay, so if you make a contact with me and you get an envelope, that means that there's a sticker inside. Look for the sticker. Okay, I've had people go, "There was no sticker in my envelope." Yeah, there was. You just threw it away, pal. So if I sent you an envelope, there's a sticker in there. If I just send you the card, it's because I don't have stickers available, and you just got the card. Okay, but know that if it's an envelope, there's a sticker. A lot of people like stickers. They're easy to get. Okay. So back to the presentation, to the slide, I should say. Yes, I mail them. It may take me a while. Like I said, I hate paperwork, and I need to have time to do it anyways. And in my 9-to-5 job, I work 60 or so hours a week. It's difficult to make time to write QSL cards out. And yes, I write them out. I don't print them out. I write them out. I print the envelopes, but I write you a note on the QSL card and I write all the information on there. I upload my logs to QRZ. Sometimes I even log them to Logbook of the World when I remember. So if you're looking for confirmation, the easiest way is going to be the QRZ logbook. Okay. If you absolutely positively have to have it on Logbook of the World and I haven't uploaded, send me a message saying, hey, can you please upload that log to Logbook of the World? And I will. Assuming it's still working for me because I haven't opened it in like 6 months. The picture on the right-hand side there is me deploying my Pactena infant half wave, so you can see it from the winder. And if you look at my left wrist, 11,100 feet, and from that's a bit, you see the carabiner there holding the strip of fabric, the ribbon that generates drag and streams that wire directly behind me. You see the feed line coiled up. I have to clean that up every jump.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Uh, little shot, little.
Cancel it, so.
Okay, I think that was the phone, right? Little selfie of me playing radio in the sky. Let's see. You see the pilot chute streaming behind me, and my 706 microphone in my hand. All right, we're getting closer to the end. My videos, everyone loves their 15 seconds of fame. If we make a QSO, chances are exceptionally good that I'm going to make it into a video. Okay, so normally every jump gets a video. Rare the occasion when I don't make a video out of it. If I don't make a video out of it, it's because something happened that I don't have video or I don't have audio and I just can't make it. Okay, so if we make contact and you're looking for your end of the conversation, it's going to be on YouTube at some point in time. I try to put them out in sequence. So if I make 3 jumps today and jump today is 2023-01, 02, and 03, I'll put 01 out today or whenever I publish it. And then a week following, it will be 02. And a week after that, it'll be 03. Okay. I don't get a whole lot of opportunity to do all these jumps because I work in skydiving. I am a skydiving instructor. It's part of how I pay my bills. When I take time to make these jumps, I'm literally losing money. But I enjoy doing it, so here I am. They take me forever to edit, and I'm not a great editor, okay? So if you watch my videos, you go, man, this guy's video editing skills stink. Yes, they do. I'm not a video editor, and I don't make money on this, so I can't pay someone to edit it for me, okay? So please be kind. If you watch one of my videos and you go, man, that video editing is terrible, please be kind about it. They take me forever to edit. These are all my links. If you want to see the videos, you can go to youtube.com/c/life@terminal velocity. If you want to help me on Patreon, great. Patreon.com, my call sign. If not, no big deal. I didn't come here to pitch that. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at life@terminal velocity. On Twitter, it's life@TV. Okay. On TikTok, it's at life@terminal velocity. Buy me a coffee. It's buymeacoffee.com/KD9OLN. And PayPal is skydiver@KD9OLN. I terminated my own presentation. Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
That's what I have. If you have questions, please. If I haven't answered something that you know what? I didn't mention something that I need to mention. You see this back here? This is parachute cord. You see that is tied to my HT. Okay. The bag that I use is tied to me in 2 places, and it also has a carabiner. That paracord goes to this HT, to this carabiner. There's also another tie-in for my radio. There's also another tie-in for my battery. Everything that goes up has a tie down. I don't want to hurt anybody by dropping anything on their head, and I don't want to lose a $600 radio. So everything is tied down. Make no mistake about it. Nothing's going to fall out and hurt someone inadvertently. That's the last bit that I forgot to talk about that I need to add in the slide here somewhere. Any questions?
Do you have?
I believe Jim, go ahead.
Hi, you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Oh, good. That was great. That was super. I really liked that. That was lots of fun. And I've never skydived, but I did do a lot of being dragged behind a boat on a various canopy in Africa over crocodiles and alligators and things where you don't want to make an unscheduled landing. But it was a lot of fun. I never tried to take pictures of it. I had a couple of questions. Your canopy, what type of canopy is that? Is there some sort of regalia wing? Because you can steer it, obviously.
Yes. All parachutes used today are rectangular canopies of some form that are 100% steerable. No one jumps rounds outside of the military anymore. I can land my canopy. If you give me a target, I can land on it. Like, done. Just consider it
Right.
done. So part of what we learned as skydivers is how to be accurate on our landings. And I'm at a point in time where, let me see, do I have my other logbook? I don't have my logbook here, but I'm somewhere north of 2,000 skydives and somewhere south of 5,000 skydives. I should be able to land accurately by now. So yeah,
That's good.
landing. If you see my videos and you stay through to the end, you'll see my landings are pretty much every time into the same spot. It's a pattern, just like an airplane. If anyone is into aviation here, left-hand pattern, downwind base and final, like any other aircraft. Put it on the stripes.
Okay, well, that's good. I just wanted just a couple more here. What's your best DX on HF?
Best DX on HF parachute mobile is Brazil. Confirmed. I have a non-confirmed contact to New Zealand, but it's non-confirmed, so I can't claim it, right? Best DX confirmed, Brazil.
Oh, great.
On 10 meters, no less.
Well, that's good. That's the band's coming in. The band is coming. It's shining again. Okay,
Yes,
you're
sir.
breaking up a little bit. I think that's on my end, but I noticed with all the stuff you carry, I'm surprised you don't have a second guy jump with you as your equipment bearer. That's a lot of weight.
Believe it or not, I actually made a video at the beginning of the skydiving season 2022, and I'm going to make another one here at the beginning of the skydiving season for 23, laying everything out and weighing everything out. At the beginning of the season, with the radio that I was using, the 706 Mark II-G, and everything else in here, including the HT, this weighs 13 pounds. So not a terrible load for what I'm doing, considering like I'm also a tandem instructor. I have no problem strapping 260 pounds of meat in front of me and taking it for a skydive, right? So if I can take a 260-pound person, I can take 13 pounds of radio.
Yeah, that's the point. I know a lot of people have gone tandem jumping, and I've never asked them, but the people that do that kind of stuff obviously have capable instructors, but I don't know what kind of limit they have on weights and so on and so forth. So I guess you can carry a large person plus all that and radio stuff.
Well, I won't take the radio with a person, right? So if you come on and say, hey, I want to play parachute mobile in a tandem, I'm like, good luck, not with me. But that's not true. We'll do it on an HT. I'll take this HT in my pocket and I'll tether it to me. And if you want to do parachute mobile, no problem with an HT. With an HF rig, not a chance. But so the tandem system has a weight limit of 550 pounds. It depends on the reserve. Some reserves are rated at 450. Some reserves are rated at 500, and some reserves are rated at 550. The reserves at my home drop zone are rated at 550 pounds. So me weighing 170 pounds, the system weighs 50. It leaves an awful lot of payload. I think my total payload can be 300 and some odd pounds. I won't take anyone that big because it hurts. Anyone over 210 or so pounds, the opening hurts me. It won't hurt you, it'll hurt me. So 260 is a special occasion.
I recall there's something about 550 pounds. It sounds like the strength of the shroud lines and stuff.
It's about the safety of the system, right? So they test the system to 10x, so that they deploy that reserve during testing at 5,500 pounds. But it has to have that factor of safety in order to be rated for 550 pounds. And basically it just boils down to, if I need my reserve, I need to know that that reserve is going to save both of us.
Yeah, right. You wouldn't want to land in water with all that stuff on there, and I hope you don't. And if you come out here so that you can work your last state of Arizona for all states, I'll be your first guy to sign up with you and work you. Thanks very much for your
Well,
excellent presentation, and we're really
thank you.
glad to have you.
Any other questions?
I'm gonna ask if you had a video to
When you
show
come-
us.
When you're coming down,
Say again?
when you're coming down.
I'm actually going to be in Arizona in 2024 doing a Grand Canyon rim to rim with my wife, but I don't expect to be jumping.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. In the room there, someone asked about a video. If you go to youtube.com/c/life at terminal velocity, all my videos are there. I'm not gonna bore you with 15 minutes of video. I mean, I can play a little bit of one if you like. Just let me know if you guys want to see a bit of a video. I'll gladly stream a little bit of a video. I think it'd be better if you just put it on the big screen there.
Yeah, I'll send out links when we do the meeting summary.
Perfect, perfect. Any other questions? Did I leave anything unanswered? Wow.
When you call something, good.
I am not making out anything of what you said, sir. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
When you call CQ, do you call with your call sign Portable Aeronautical Mobile?
I call Parachute Mobile. So typically it goes CQ, KD9OLN, Kilo, Delta 9 or Oscar, Lima, November, Parachute Mobile over Rochelle, Illinois. Assuming I'm at my home drop zone. When I was in Skydive, Alabama, for the Alabama Hemfest, the name of the town for Skydive, Alabama eludes me right now, but I was basically saying KD9OLN over whatever the name of that town was, because I want to make sure that people understand where I am. I plan on jumping at Xenia. I was planning on doing it last year, but the weather was terrible. So if you come to Xenia, if you come to Dayton, there's a good chance that if the weather's good, you're going to be able to work me there. And you'll hear me saying KD9OLN over Xenia, Ohio, Parachute Mobile. And I know that you guys are, and gal, are primarily a CW club, and I'm learning CW. So there will be, with any luck, I'll finish learning CW in time for the skydiving season, and there will be some opportunity to get me on CW.
Right.
Howdy, thanks for the presentation. I hope you can hear me. I had two questions. The first is, I think I heard you say 15 minutes of video. So you normally have 15 minutes from the time your chute is deployed until you have to QRT. And my second question is, you mentioned running 3 jumps in a day. Do you have 3 packed parachute sets, or do you pack your parachute for each one?
So if I deploy my parachute at 14,500 feet, which is my exit altitude on average, with the size of the parachute that I'm flying, I get roughly 15 minutes of flight. The amount of flight time depends on how much weight you have under the parachute system. So I have a 170 square foot parachute for my personal, my sports jumping gear. Excuse me. Actually, I have a much smaller one for when I'm doing work jumps, doing video and camera and whatnot. But I bought a much bigger system just to have more loft time doing Parachute Mobile. With my smaller system, I get maybe 10 minutes. So basically I land, I can pack the parachute myself. It takes me about 15 minutes. I also can pay a packer. There's a number of packers at the drop zone that are professional packers. That's what they do all day, every day. You know, like the drop zone is closed right now, and they all traveled south and are packing parachutes somewhere in the south. Actually, there's some of them in New Zealand. There's some of them in Australia. There's some of them in the Philippines right now. So most of the time, I'm just going to pay a packer to pack my parachutes so that I can get ready for my next jump. On average, between work jumps and fun jumps, I can do 10 to 15 jumps in a day. If on a busy tandem day, I've done as many as 20. I've done as many as 20 tandems in a day, and I was suitably tired at the end.
Wow, that's amazing.
Any other questions?
Any more questions? Bob's lit up. Okay, Carlos, thank you. I appreciate it. That was a little bit different and kind of cool. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for the invite and thanks for having me. If you have any questions that come up after the fact, my email address on QRZ is good. It's skydiver@KD9OLN.com. Shoot me an email or drop me a comment on one of my videos. I'll answer however I can, whenever I can. I try to make sure to be as transparent about my hobbies as I can be. This is just a combination of two hobbies that makes me happy.
Okay, thanks, Carlos. We will try looking for you on 2015 or 10 or somehow get a spot or something like that. See if we can work you from Arizona and see if we can help you with that work all states with whatever special endorsement it comes with or whatever.
Well, I believe Virgil has, maybe he doesn't, I don't know. I'm making an assumption that he's on the Discord for Toads. And if you know, like I said, I post those jumps to my patrons and on the Toads Discord and on the K5YVY Discord. Primarily, HRCC is after that. Yeah, it's occasionally on Facebook. Sometimes I even have time to post there. So.
Okay. The way that I found you was to go, I just Googled or YouTube searched KD9OLN and it came up with a couple there and I just watched those. So if you want to watch some of those videos, I would suggest that you do that because they're really cool.
I have people that tell me that they get, what do you call it? Fear of heights just from watching the videos. I'm like, you don't have to, you're not doing it. You can live vicariously through me. Go ahead, do it. Watch it.
Well, I'm not going to jump out of a perfectly good airplane. So again, thank you, Carlos. We appreciate it. We're going to take a break now. If you want to stay with the meeting, we're going to have business meeting and some stuff like that. Some folks think it's cool. Some folks think it's a little bit boring. So if you want to stay with us and join us, we're going to take about a 10-minute break or so, and then we'll be back. Or if you want to bid adieu, then we appreciate it. And thank you, my friend.
I'll stick around for a little bit of if anybody has any Q&A, they can come up to the laptop. Once your meeting starts up again, I'm going to graciously bow out. It's 9 something here. It's almost 10 o'clock, and my wife is waiting for me inside.
So I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
We currently have a vacancy for secretary, which can all be done and online with all sorts of fame and glory.
Fame and glory, you say?
The board of directors has the authority to elect a member. We could make you an honorary member, and then we could elect you, inform you of what we've done. So we're not going to do that.
I will rewind. I will rewind to the slide where I said about the QSL cards. Take me forever because I hate paperwork.
Okay. Anyway, thanks. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back. It's 5 minutes till 8, so let's do 10 minutes and come back at 8:05, everybody. Thanks, Carlos. Appreciate it.
Hey, Carlos. Lights on here. Hey, Carlos. Hey, Carlos. I'll be in Dayton with Charlie again this year, so we'll see you in Dayton in May.
Awesome. I'm planning on being from 4 days in May and the rest of Dayton with the hopes of getting a jump in or two. Cross your fingers for good weather, because I really want to shock the living daylights out of everyone at Dayton by just calling CQ on 5-2.
Yeah, I'm coming in on Wednesday with Charlie, and we'll be there till Sunday again. I'm not staying in the house, so I got my own hotel.
Cool. Very cool.
Hey, Carlos.
Yes, sir.
I think you should accept the offer, provided that the president gets a free lesson in jumping a perfectly good airplane.
Mm.
Thanks again. It's great. I loved it.
You're welcome.
Thanks again, Carlos. I'll send out some follow-up emails with our meeting summary and copy you on those.
Very cool. And
Thank
if you want me to,
Carlos.
I can drop the slide deck into a PDF and send it to you if you want.
Okay, yeah, we'll see how the recording comes out. I know Zoom kind of records weird I was having to toggle between your video and the slides. So that was like at that one point, I had your video minimized and when you were showing your QSL cards, hopefully the Zoom recording picked all that up, but if not,
Okay.
I'll let you know. But yeah, I really appreciate
Just
it.
let me know.
Yeah, I know, this is more DX club oriented and, you've worked some DX, but, so not kind of slightly off topic, but I was like, I know they're awesome presentations. So I love your YouTube channel and been following you for a while.
Thank you. Appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
I by no means have the most popular YouTube channel by any stretch of the imagination. Everyone else has a much better YouTube channel than I do, but I enjoy what I'm doing, and I don't need to make a living off it, so I don't have to treat it like a lot of the other guys. Like, for example, Jason has to treat it as a business because that is his life, right? That's how he makes a living. And Steve T.O., familiar with T.O.?
Yeah, I've followed several of those guys.
Like he's trying to make a move away from his current job into doing this full time and everything else. I don't have any plans for that. And like the Patreon people, really what they're doing is they're helping me offset some of the expense. I'm still losing money. It's fine. It's better to lose this much money instead of this much money.
Yeah, I think you're doing something really exciting in the hobby that few people have done. So yeah, kudos for that.
Well, and like I said, the 10-meter jumps, my objective is to get as many techs as I can, because I think if they get that as their first HF contact or one of their early HF contacts, they're going to go, hey, wait a minute, there's a completely different world here. And if I can get a few people to upgrade from tech to general or to extra, even better, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
all right, thanks again. Have a good night.
Yeah, man, I'll hang out here for a minute or two until you guys get back to your meeting, and then I'll bow out. If anybody has questions, just come up to the laptop and ask away.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Carlos?
Yes,
Do you have any competition? Is there anyone else that you know? Do you have a club of jumpers that do radio?
actually, there's a group out of California that does parachute mobile a couple of times a year. They've been doing it way longer than I have. They started somewhere in the mid 2000s, I think. But they don't promote it anywhere near as much as I do, and they don't make as many jumps as I do. That's not, it's not to say anything bad about them. It's just that they go about it differently. But there's a group out of California, North California, just north of San Francisco, that does it. If you go to parachutemobile.com, it'll take you to their website.
Just curious. There seems to be radio clubs for everything, but this is pretty unique.
Yeah, there's about 3 people that I know of that are actively doing this right now, and the other 2 are in NorCal, and the third is me. With that said, I have received the QSL cards from, I think, 3 other people that have done it way earlier. There's a fellow that sent me a QSL card from him doing parachute mobile with an HT over Japan, over Okinawa in the 80s. And well, he was stationed there, and that's what he would do. He would just call CQ parachute mobile over Okinawa. And then there's a fella out of Louisiana. His name is Bobby Brownlee, and he's not a skydiver, but he goes tandem, and he brings his HT with him, and he will do he'll do 2-meter HTs, parachute mobile in his general area, which is pretty cool because Like I never expected that. And I've actually talked to Bobby on HF a couple of times. He has me on his ham alerts, I think. And when he finds me at a park, he makes a point to call me.
Okay, well, thank you. Thanks. I really enjoyed your talk. 73.
Glad you enjoyed it. 7-3.
Okay, we're back, we think. Is everybody else, all the Zoom folks here?
This is your business meeting. I'm tapping out. 7-3, everybody. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Carlos. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
Have a good night.
Friend. Okay, old business. This is just a brief review of what the board has done during the month of January since the 5th. ARRL club affiliation has been updated. The ARCA membership and dues have been updated and paid. The checking account and debit cards have been updated and taken care of. The GoDaddy account has been paid and access updated. The Zoom account is in process. Basically, what's going to happen with Zoom is the next payment's due in March of this year, and we're going to pretty much let the existing account expire, and we're going to open a new one that's a CADXA something Zoom, and that's going to be charged to the debit card for CADXA. Groups IO account has been updated. CADXA Slack's updated. The on the air activity certificates, a couple were handing it out at the last meeting to Steve. The rest of them have been mailed out to their recipients, and we got a couple of email feedbacks that they appreciate that. CADXA equipment inventory update is in process. I have 2 beautiful light blue rolls of picnic table paper was acquired tonight. And the CADXA website has been updated with the new officers and some other stuff. So that takes care of that. Is there any other old business that we need to go over, think about, talk about, or anything else? Any old business from the Zoom folks? I'll take that as a no. Moving on to new business for January and February. As I mentioned last month, the big discussion topic for us is going to be the 501c7. What do we do about that? How do we do it? How do we get PayPal back into the mix? And Lee's going to do the presentation for that. And then I'll add some comments if I need to.
Thank you. Okay, well, this came along when John came into to office, and there was some discussion about what to do with the new requirements PayPal was instituting, and there's still some delay, I think, in implementing their new tax reporting requirements. But the concern is that unless the club is designated as a nonprofit entity that may be subject to some form of tax on the collection of dues. So we wanted to take a look at what the possibilities were, and the other piece of this is that the treasurer, in fact, going back to my time as treasurer, was handling payments, electronic payments through our personal accounts, and that also could pose some IRS issues for Mike if we don't change things the way they are. Yes. So moving on to our next slide. Yeah. So PayPal requires recognized business entity to establish a new account, and we need an EIN number, and that's a story in and of its own. We're not going to provide anybody's social security number to do that, so that would be one of the steps we'll talk about here. And we're not a recognized business entity currently. We've been operating informally since 1974 and have managed to stay under the radar all that time. There are several categories of tax exemption that IRS regulations provide, and to be a C3, where anything that you pay in is deductible, requires that you have some education purpose or some other more esoteric kind of purpose in your existence in terms of being a charity. So that doesn't fit too many radio clubs unless they're very, very, very involved, perhaps in public service. So the other category that fits a lot of clubs is C7, which is for social clubs. So that's something that I became very familiar with because our remote station is now incorporated, and we are a 501c7. So I'm very familiar with the whole process. So let's move on. Next slide. No current reporting requirements. And like I said, we've been informal. One of the risks that I've always been concerned about, and I think that any officers have been concerned about, is the amount of money that we get from Visalia some years, how that might impact us and whether that would get us above the radar or into the radar of IRS. But in talking to a couple of folks, and then actually ended up talking to the current treasurer of the Northern Cal DX Club, he explained to me, and he's been doing that now for about 3 years, that when money would be given, hopefully some money will be given to our club after all the work that Ned and others are putting in, Mike, KC7V and others, and Larry, W07R, for this upcoming convention. It's designated by them as an unrestricted donation. And as long as it's called a donation, then we're pretty much in the clear, as long as we're recognized as being tax exempt. So the reporting to IRS is very simple. And actually, I've done this once, and I'll be doing it again for this year for our remote station. They actually call it e-postcard, and all you're really saying in reporting to the IRS is that we have had less than $50,000 in receipts or for donations, and so that's something we don't have to worry about. That we're not going to get even close to that. I think in the best year, I mean, from Visalia, we've maybe gotten 5,000, but most years it's more like 2,000 or 3,000 at best. In terms of the state process, I'll go through. Let's see if we have the steps here. Implementation steps. All right, let's go on to the next slide. Okay. So to do this, you start by incorporating with the state of Arizona. This is all electronic. Doesn't take very long to do. You provide an explanation of what your purpose is and who the officers are. You have to designate someone as a statutory agent to receive official documents, and I've volunteered to John to do that. The filing fee for expedited filing, which we would definitely want to do, because otherwise it can take a few months. But we file the articles of incorporation with the state, $75 to get that expedited. We would also have to get a new EIN. All right, so here's the history. Once upon a time, somebody somewhere got an employer identification number, entity identification number with IRS. All we know is that when John and Mike went with Larry to Wells Fargo to do the signature card changeover, they have some record of Gary KDN in 1972 providing an EIN number. I've talked to Gary. He has no clue where that came from. I've talked to Ron Freeman, who, along with Jim McDonald, Ron is now K5MM and living outside of Dallas, and Jim is now N7US, now living in Chicago. They had both been treasurers back in the day, and Ron had no recollection of the EIN. Anyway, and IRS doesn't. If you go up on their website and put in this number, which we have, you can't find any record. So we would apply for a new EIN number to start the process. Then apply for the articles of incorporation with the state of Arizona, and then the big jump from there is with IRS. And I learned this the hard way when I did this with our remote station. IRS for nonprofits, go figure this. They require a $600 fee to process the application to be tax exempt as a nonprofit. But that you got to do what you got to do. So that's the major cost involved in doing this. Their processing time, they catch the check right away. And then it takes them 6 or 7 months because they're very short staffed these days, as you may know. And I was waiting to get our official letter last year and waiting, and turned out that they had. I found this out not that long ago, like a few weeks ago, that they had dated the determination letter last July. Somehow it never got to me in the mail. I found a research site on the IRS site and found that we had gotten our determination letter. So we can expect it'll take some time, but once we register with the state as a domestic nonprofit corporation, that's a big first step for us. So that's kind of the process that we would need to go through. And any questions? I mean, the corporation status provides some protection for the club in terms of being an entity that for PayPal purposes is recognized, and also provides some protection to the officers of the club. So, yes, Virgil.
So I have a question of, I know there's some clubs that they can take like a state or equipment donation, and then that gives a tax write-off back to and then they sell that for a club profit or whatever. Does this C7 allow any of that?
Nope. No, there's only there are a handful of clubs that, and I was involved with the Scottsdale Club 20 some years ago, getting a C3, and it was a tough process back then. There are very few clubs that do that now. In fact, Northern Cal is a C7, and I'm not sure about I think the Outlaws might know the answer. Fulcher might know the answer. Maybe a C7, and other clubs, that would be the most logical. But to be a C3, as I said, you have to have some educational or pure charitable purpose to get that, and it's very rigorous. Much tougher to get that these days than it used to be.
We did Thunderbird 3 years ago, C3 because of the regulations. So we do education, we do BE testing, we do supporting hospitals, so we have a public involvement.
Okay, and that's a kind of argument.
The question I have for you, though, is under 7. Can we accept money from outside of membership?
If
Like a donation from Northern California, is that acceptable under the rules?
That's my understanding. As long as it's designated as a donation, and as treasurer's calling it unrestricted. Yes. Yeah.
Membership dues, to the best of my knowledge, have never been tax deductible to the members. So this is no change from that. And on the equipment donation or sales at Hamfest or something like that, I don't have an answer right now. But that's okay, because we can find out. And the primary thrust on the 501c7 is to allow us to get PayPal back into the financial mix, so we can continue accepting dues renewals that way. If somebody wanted to donate, if Visalia wanted to donate money to us, that conceivably they could go through PayPal. So the doors are not closed. I just don't have answers on how we're going to handle it right this minute. Does that all kind of sort of make sense, Jim?
The question that I have is, first, does CADXA have a constitution and bylaws? And if not, is that the first step in this process?
We have constitution bylaws. I will take a look at them, because there's a requirement. There's some requirements, IRS requirements in terms of statements, non-discrimination statement in particular. So I want to see if we need to make any amendments to the constitution or bylaws, so that because we will have to attach the constitution and bylaws to the IRS application. Yeah, yes.
The Constitution.
CADXA.org is on the web. The constitution and bylaws are on the website.
Okay, Rev N, that's the latest revision.
Yeah.
Rev N. Okay, good, good. I got the question. Have you contacted that, or would you like to contact the group that advertises in QST back in New Jersey, where you send equipment to them? They repair it and sell it. Every once in a while, you'll see an advertisement.
Yeah,
A lot of
JQK.
kids, I'm not sure.
Yeah, WA2 JQK, I think.
Yes, yeah.
They've been doing it forever, and I'm sure they're a C3, and it's all for education through. It's a high school program.
Right, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I've sent a lot of stuff to them at one time, but
Yeah.
didn't know if that would help.
Okay. What? Reinhardt?
Is it going to limit us how we can spend money?
No.
No.
It should not. No. I mean, if you start spending on vacations and things for if the officers start taking the money and doing that, that will be a problem. But no, as long as it's spent on room rent and things to promote the club's activities. Oh, the scholarships would be clearly something we could spend.
Yeah,
money on.
so the club would still be held by the Constitution and bylaws, which require the board or any spending over $300 to have a member vote. So that's part of the reason we're here bringing this up tonight.
And if you would bring up, are there any more questions from the floor? Comments, thoughts? Or any of the Zoom attendees have any questions or comments on this?
Not here.
Okay, if you would bring up the next slide.
That one or the next.
Lee's going to coordinate the paperwork on this thing. Bring up the next one. Yes, we do need a motion, and this is a proposed motion, which can hopefully easily be read by a member, which somebody would have to second, et cetera, and then we can have discussion. We can vote on it. So does that make sense for starters? Yes, sir.
All we do is we file KDXA.
If we do nothing, if we do nothing, then we would have to stop accepting PayPal because we exceed that $600 a year. So that would mean that, okay, historic. Well, we would not, if we went forward with the 501c7, and let's say we got $1,500 in income, or we got $1,500 in donations for dues as a number. Do we have to pay taxes? One, you got to file a tax return. You're going to have to show that income. Secondly, this room cost us $1,320 a year. Next, we have $1,000 scholarship to the ARRL. Next, we got $1,000 to Northern Cal DX Foundation. So our costs exceed our donations. Okay, so we don't have to pay any taxes. Where this comes into play is in order for us to go back to accepting PayPal, and since 2020, I think it's just over 31% or right at 31% of the members have used PayPal to renew their dues. So the board's opinion from the meeting last week was that's not really a realistic option. Now, is the door closed on no longer taking PayPal? No, that door is not closed. But the ramifications, I think, would not be pleasant. And we've actually had a couple of members who said, if you don't take PayPal, I'm not going to renew. Now, we're not going to go broke. I'm sorry, you can't.
I don't understand why you can't set up a PayPal account.
Because PayPal requires a taxpayer ID number, and we don't have one. Mike spent several days trying to get a new PayPal account set up for CADXA. So it's a PayPal requirement.
Get an idea of how that's supposed to be.
Well, the tax liability was going to Mike. We were using Mike's
Right.
social.
Yeah, and
we're going to have to pay taxes.
And he's going to have to file a return. Historically, Mike, this is in his 5th year as treasurer. Before that, Alton was a treasurer, and he used his personal PayPal account. They didn't have the reporting requirement back then, so it wasn't an issue. And so that's kind of what generated all of this discussion and whatever. And I know since inception, or I've been told that since inception, CADXA has wanted to be under the radar, my words, and I don't have a problem with that at all. But the IRS rules changed now. PayPal is in place now, and they have to comply with the IRS regulations also. So if we keep receiving donations through PayPal and they exceed $600, starting January 1 of this year, they're going to report it to the IRS and they're going to report it to us, which means that we've got to file it somewhere. So
The issue here is you have to have some kind of a club and organization, so you have to.
yeah, we have to have an organizational structure that's recognized by the IRS, and this is pretty much the simplest way to do that. Well, the simplest because it's specifically designed for social clubs that have less than $50,000 a year in donations. Yes, we're a social club, and we certainly have less than $50,000 in donations. So that's
through all this engine and tractor cover belong to. We ended up having almost dividing it up to the two. We had a 3C and 3.7, and this got so complicated after a while that I'm out of it.
yes, that would be complicated. From where I stand and having talked to Lee and talked to some other folks, the 501c7 seems the more beneficial or the least undesirable of the options that are out there. Yeah.
Running clubs is getting harder and harder. Getting people to operate as on boards of clubs getting harder and harder. And if this makes getting a treasurer to do the treasury job easier, then this is a good deal. Because you know,
That's the board's opinion, yes. And that's why we're jumping through all these hoops.
so anything that keeps this club going, that's a good price.
Yeah. So more discussion? Any discussion from the Zoom folks? Any more discussions here? Okay, so would somebody make a motion from the floor? And if you want to read that, that's fine because it's already typed out.
I move that we accept the proposed motion. Second.
Okay, all in favor? What? We had our discussion.
That's Rob.
Oh, that's right. Okay, we have to have a post-motion discussion. My bad.
Ready for the discussion? Hearing none.
Okay. Now, all in favor, either aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, Zoom folks, are you all aye or nay?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all in favor? All opposed? None. The motion passed. So Lee, what's today, Thursday? Can I call you? No, I was going to say, can I call you sometime early next week and we can start working through this? Okay, that's fine. Okay. That takes care of all of that stuff. Okay, moving right along. Visalia Convention update. Ned, can you share some stuff, please?
Oh, good evening. I'll give you an update on the Visalia.
It's super.
Well,
tiny.
that's not going to work well.
Let me, how do I resize it?
What Mike said to say, so I don't have that.
Okay. Well, I'll dip it. Okay, well, the convention is going well. Thank you. Going well. The convention is being held in Visalia, April 21st through 23rd. It's 2.5 days. We have a really packed program. Mike KC7V is leading up as the program chair. We've stuffed programs into the lunch hour. We have a box lunch show on Friday that's just popped up. And we also added a 160 talk at the end of the day, competing with the no host bar on Friday. So we've got 10 programs on Friday on a track, and on Saturday we have 2 tracks in the afternoon. So we've got plenty of programs. The banquet speech is being given by our buddies who are currently
Learning to Live on the Glaciers of Bouvet. Ken, LA7GIA, I think, will be the speaker. And on Sunday morning, we have kind of a look at ham radio from a perspective of the expeditioner. We have Glenn Johnson, W0GJ, who's been on many. He was on the last failed attempt to, well, actually it wasn't the last, but the next to the last failed attempt at getting on Bouvet. So we have lots of really, really good talks, programs, prizes. We have, last tally, we have $32,000 worth of prizes. We have a brand new one we got just a couple days ago. Ellicraft is donating a K4D. Be a good prize. That'll be actually, we're going to first use it at the radio station. We're going to set up at the site. As long as we don't burn it out, it'll be a great prize. And we have a host of other prizes from you have Yaesus and ICOMs and all kinds of great radios. Really good stuff. The challenge this year for us has been trying to restart the Visalia convention. It's been dormant since 2019. Last time it was held, CADXA was a part of the team that pulled that off. 2020, Southern Cal had to cancel because of COVID, and it's been shut down in 2021, 2022. And so we're trying to restart it, which is an interesting thing. I mean, Ron, you're used to starting old tractor motors. Sometimes takes a few pulls, right? And that's what we're finding is trying to get people excited about getting back to Visalia. But 3 years has gone down the road, and our ham community tends to be on the upper end of the age distribution, and I think in those 3 years, a lot of people have just stopped jumping in their car and driving up the road to go to Visalia. So it's a real challenge to try to get them in. We've had attendance on the order of 800 years past. We're now looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 for this convention this year. So it'll be social distancing will be easier to do, but we're pulling out the stops to try to make it the best we can and a fair that you'll remember. We're getting a lot of help from members of CADXA. Virgil is going to give me a hand on some of the program work through the weekend. We got Larry Lowen and Inta will be on site helping. Lee and Debbie Finkel is part of the team up at the site doing small prizes. They've done that over the course of the years up there. So CADXA, for the first time, is on the top row of the organizations that are running this convention. So it's kind of it's our turn to do this sort of thing. Now, some discussion is well, what happens next year? Is Southern Cal going to step up to the plate and pull it off next year? We're not seeing positive signs of that. So this may become an every other year event because Northern Cal loves doing this. And if it is a Northern Cal event going forward, it may move from Visalia to somewhere nearer the Bay Area where the Northern Cal kind of epicenter is. So we'll see where that goes with time. But the job now is to restart the program, maybe make some money. I mean, it's going to be hard. We're going to have to sell a lot of raffle tickets to do this. That's usually where the payback comes in is offering good prizes and making sure people with big checkbooks come and participate in that program. So we'll see how that goes. So I'm not sure we're going to have the $5,000 payments we've had in the past. That's probably it'll be something we'll talk about forever, but we'll see where it goes from here. But I'm giving it the best I can. There's lots of moving parts in a convention like this. It's kind of interesting to see how this sort of thing will come together. The leadership, myself and Paul, N6 PSC is the first time we've ever done anything like this, but we've got a lot of support from the Northern Cal Club. The past chairmans are giving us all kinds of support. So it's something that's gonna come off. It's gonna be fun, and I'm gonna sleep a lot when it's all done. I tell you. Yeah, Bob.
If I can recall, Andy, the story, we started, I think it was in 1992 with Southern Cal, and the 3 or 4 of us to help with the banquet scene. And that was the limit of water. During that year, it would make something like 300 bars.
Yeah. I think we folded chairs or something like it in addition to that. So yeah, that was, so we started, we just, you sit around the campfire for a while until they get to know you. And right now, Northern Cal is completely dependent on us for making this happen. We're pulling our share on this convention. I'm convinced the programs are a big part of it. The vendor is a big part. But I think just having the ambiance, when people ask, why should I come? And it's well, it's prizes, you can get prizes anywhere. You could probably get all these presentations on YouTube eventually, but it's meeting and talking with your brethren DXers and swapping stories in the bar, swapping stories in a hotel room at 3 a.m. That's what you remember when you go home is the personal interaction with other DXers, other hams, other people at these conventions. That's in my mind is what you remember when you go home. So that's where we are. Things are going well. If you haven't registered, please register. It's going to be a good show. There's the hotel rooms that are at the convention rate have been consumed, but there are plenty of other rooms available. There's another convention of some sort going on that weekend. I don't think at the convention center, but somewhere else downtown. Hope that goes well. A couple of years ago, as I recall, at Visalia, there was a wedding that was going on at our convention. Imagine spending a year setting up your wedding and find out that 800 hams were going to be walking around in the background of all your pictures. That kind of a scary thought. So that's it for now. So a couple more months to go, and we're gonna have some fun. So thanks a lot. Yeah, actually, it was in the ADOF distribution, so that's where I got now.
Thank you, Mr. Nett. Appreciate it. Mike, you want to come up and do the treasurer's report, please? You're right there.
Thank you. Okay, we are well into the dues collecting period here, and at the meeting tonight, we collected member number 100 and 101. So there are a little more than 20 left to go. We cracked above the $10,000 mark for the first time in a while. And let's see, I think the only other expense that I know of that's coming up that I haven't listed here is there is an annual ARRL liability insurance that's available that we take advantage of, and that's $300. I'll be getting that paid in the next few days. Let's see. Oh, I did put that down at the bottom, upcoming transitions, right? And as of the moment, membership count remains at 123.
Good. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Moving right along. Dues are due for 2023. They're $25 a year for individuals, $12.50 for any additional family members living at the same address each, and they're $12 each. Payments can be made by cash or check at a meeting, or you can mail them either to the PO box, which is listed there and also on the CADXA website, or you can mail them direct to Mike at the address listed there. So that takes care of that part. On the air challenge from Tom. Are we doing on the air challenge? Do you have on the air challenge numbers and things?
I have my spreadsheet. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Yeah, I got that.
Okay.
Okay. Well, first of all, I want to apologize for the fiasco that I created with email account. I guess my best take from that is you live and learn. You learn not to jump off too quickly into something that's unknown. But anyway, I'm back to the old 1990s Juno.com, but it works. So at least I know what's going on there. Anyway, I haven't had a lot of data sent in. But as far as our regular DX challenge, you can see that Steve has everybody beat already just with his 50 watts. So anyway, we got a little bit of competition going there. If you go to the next slide, we already have Rick is well over 200 on the CQ, the marathon. And other people are rapidly chasing him. The next, this one I threw in there, and I don't know if we want to keep this or not. It's really not that bad to do if you got like DX Keeper, because you can filter your logbook for modes. But unless people want to continue sending in data, I probably will just delete this one. But it is kind of interesting. John mentioned a while back that it'd be kind of interesting to see how different people operate with different modes. So to that end, it is kind of interesting to see, for example, Ron doing all CW, and others of us do a mixture of different modes. For the DXpeditions, I only have one, and Lee made it a point to make sure that he beat out Rick, and he had what, 38? And I definitely will not put Bouvet on this because it's such a rare entity that hopefully everyone will maybe work on once per band and then let it go. As far as the 6 meter challenge, I guess I'm living in a cave because I didn't realize it was been open that much. Although on the other hand, I stuck my antenna scope on my 6 meter feed line, and I registered like a 10-to-1 SWR. So I don't know what the problem is. It's a little more work, and I feel like doing the crank the hazer down. Oh, that's not bad. It's cranking the hazer up. It's a problem. So anyway, I guess 6 meters has been open a little bit. New Zealand, and I don't know what all else. Actually, if you want to go back to sheet 15, I know you opened it up earlier. The next expedition I thought I would count is this one, 3B7M, and that comes up here in a couple of weeks. So that's about the extent of my involvement here. So hopefully a few more people will feel like sending in some data, give somebody like Rick a little more of a challenge. Okay, John, back to you.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. Do on the air challenge. We're running out of notes. One thing came up yesterday, I think Virgil let me know about. ARRL is in the year of the volunteers in 2023, and part of that is they're going to be activating W1AW from all of the different call areas. And Brian, W7JET, has been coordinating with Rick, W7RAP, who's the section manager for ARRL. And Brian's going to come up and present kind of what he's doing and how we're involved, and it's still evolving. So you got it.
So, I got involved in this because I said, well, I had a lot of fun operating W180-407 for the Centennial when Ned spearheaded it, and then there was nobody coordinating it. So I said, it's not listed. Let me see if I can find out what's going on. So I got in touch with Rick, and it turned out that there wasn't anybody spearheading it at that particular moment. So like any good person, when you talk to somebody, you all of a sudden become the guy. So I'm the guy, and that happened as of Wednesday this week. So I'm still putting the plan together, but my first thought was, I know somebody who's done this before. I should probably use the same blueprint. So I got in touch with Ned, and Ned has graciously offered to give me his blueprint and help me decipher everything so I can get this moving forward. So next couple of days, I'm going to get a plan put together. I'm going to use some of Ned's stuff, and I'll be looking for operators. I've already reached out to about 9 clubs around the state. I've heard back from 2 so far. And, I want to try and duplicate the same effort that happened in 2014 for the Centennial. I think, Ned, we did 80,000 QSOs, you said, or something like that. So if I can get half of that, I'll consider that a success. But if I can knock it out of the park, that'd be great too. So the operators from the club, and essentially we're going to be the organization spearheading, because I'm going to be leaning on you guys for assistance when I need it. The vents, just like the last time, everything's got to be logged via the computer ADIF file, so it can get uploaded to the logbook of the world, because that's how the leaderboard. It's actually, they have a leaderboard set up on the VOTA Volunteers on the Air page on the ARRL, so you can see how well you're scoring against other people. Different officers and volunteers within the ARRL organization also count for points as well. So if you work Ned, you're worth like what, 5,000 points or something? Yeah. These associate directors, all kinds of, everybody's got a point value assigned to them, and all that stuff goes into that leaderboards. That's why the ADIF logging is important, because it has to be logbook of the world compatible, because that's how they're doing the matches for the QSOs. So as I get a plan together, emails will go out, and I'm probably going to do some Zoom meetings with some of the other clubs that are, if they have a large group of people participating, to explain what needs to be done and how we can make this a success. So questions?
So it's a week-long event where we're doing W1AW.
So we have it twice this year. Each state gets it twice, and ours starts on March 15th for the first round. So W1AW Portable 7 lasts from the 15th, 7 days after that. And then we have to have the logs in within 10 days, I believe, after it ends, if my memory serves me correctly. Then the next event that we have it for is August 30th, and it will end 7 days after that. So it runs into September. All bands, all modes. So whatever you guys can do. Questions? Comments? Yeah. So my QRZ page, my email on there is good. Just use that if you want to get in touch with me directly. I'm also on the Slack channel and telephone. If you need the number, just email me. I'll give you my number. You can call and talk to me, yell at me, whatever you want to do. Tell me I'm screwing it up royally, and I'll probably agree with you. Sorry, this is my first time doing something this large, so bear with me.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. That takes care of everything that I've got. Is there anything else from the floor that we need to discuss, do, not do? On the Zoom attendees, is there anything else we need to do or talk about? Do what?
Repeater.
Sure. Brian would like to bring us up to speed on the repeater, the K5VT machine.
Okay, I guess I'll just stand up so that way everybody in the room can hear me too. So the repeater is online, still hosted at the Superstition Club site. That site is, as long as they have it, we have it. They're going to be, I'm also I'm in charge of the tech committee for that club as well. We are going to be changing out the UHF antenna there to a new, really nice antenna. We're spending a lot of money on that antenna, actually. And in the process of changing that antenna, we're going to move and put up a better 2-meter antenna for our club's repeater at that site. So it should help with some of the people out toward the west more. The site itself, once you get out more or less past I-17, unless you're using an antenna on a tower, the site's not going to really hear you that well, just because of its location. And over the years, with where it is, it used to be, nothing used to be around it, but now the city is kind of encroached on the area, so it doesn't quite have the clearance that it used to, in 1972 when they originally erected the repeater site. So that should clear some things up. We're also going to go to we have a dedicated hard line. Right now there is some insertion loss because we have a triplexer, because we share the dual band antenna that the Superstition Club uses for the UHF repeater at that site. It's a Diamond X50, so we're on that antenna as well. Once we get the duplexer out, or the diplexer out, excuse me, and then go with our own antenna, that should get the receive up a little bit, because we won't have an insertion loss from the diplexer.
Any more from the floor? Or we, yes,
For those who aren't familiar, the repeater is 147,320. It uses a PL of 123.0.
yes.
That's it. And it's also the information on repeater book is accurate. I'm the one that has control over that particular profile. So if you see it, it's not correct or you want something added to it, let me know. But it's accurate to everything that we have in our coordination for the site. Yeah, exactly. It's everywhere. But if you need to, if the most accurate information is repeaterbook.com, just go on there and look for our repeater. It'll come right up.
Okay, we're good. Anything else from anybody? Zoom folks, anything else? Nope. It is 2 minutes before 9 and we are going to adjourn. Whoop, I lied.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, got a motion to adjourn from Jim, second by Reinhard. All in favor? Aye. Zoom folks in favor? Don't start with this.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. I know it's too official and formal, but give me a while. I'll change. Okay, so no discussion. It passed. We're adjourned. Thanks.